Hi everyone, it's Az here from HeelvsBabyface. Today saw the launch of the first 3 episodes of Andor, something which has been ready for 2 years and somehow never come out. Anyway, I watched the first episode and the first episode only. We'll go into why. But I just thought I would go through what I felt about the actual episode itself. How does it fare up against the current crop of Star Wars / Disney / Marvel, you know, all that stuff which comes out of this factory, and whether or not I'm going to continue to watch this, we shall see. So let me bring it up for you. Hi. Oh, I mean, I know I'm the star of the show. I'm not going to do a breakdown like I normally do a breakdown because I think I'd probably die of boredom. As an overall, is Andor, is it really bad? No. Is Andor good? No. I think Andor is the epitome of okay for the first episode. Now, I've had some people tweet at me say, hey, it picks up at the end of episode 3. Not my problem. And that's no disrespect to the people telling me, but not my problem. A show is meant to hook you in, and it's meant to get you interested. Now, to say that Andor is slow would be a slight understatement in the first episode. Does that mean that it's bad? No. There's nothing wrong with doing a build if you're building up to something. However, normally you have to be invested in what you're building up to. And was I invested in the story of Andor trying to find his sister? The answer was not particularly. No. They introduced a lot of characters, none of which I've caught the names of. Apart from obviously Andor, because we knew them from Rogue One. And there was quite a bit of blatant messaging, which just made me roll my eyes and took me out of the show completely. But based off what the actors have been saying in their interviews, they just really want to push this political messaging and living in a Trump world. It's not living in a Trump world or a post-Trump world. It's your fucking mental Trump derangement syndrome. He's not even the president. He hasn't been for 2 years. And that sort of stuff now is getting so boring. And because this was made 2 years ago, very dated as well. So it starts off, and the actual cinematography is quite nice. The special effects are good, much better than other shows, shall we say, She-Hulk, amongst others. But the special effects are pretty nice. And I think to myself, where has Star Wars gone? Because watching the original trilogy and watching Empire particularly, and why Empire? Because Empire is seen as the darker of the 3 episodes, and it's thought of as the best of the original trilogy episodes as well, for the most part. Empire Strikes Back managed to take some rather serious things that happened. You know, Han Solo got captured, got frozen. Luke found out that the massive space Nazi was his dad, had his hand cut off. Oh, sorry, I should have said spoilers. Joking. You know, we had all those sort of moments to it, and yet it still managed to do it with a lot of charm, with a lot of entertainment and fun and excitement. And dark and gritty is just not cutting it for me. It's just not cutting it in a Star Wars world. And we start off by Andor going to a brothel. And there's just a little part of me inside which is just like, oh my God. Is this where we are, where the showrunners are just like, oh my God, you know, it's time for us to take Star Wars seriously, so we're going to stick him in a brothel. And my first thought was, oh God, am I going to see some alien tits or something? I was like, oh no. But no, of course not. Starts off in a brothel, and it just has these two white guys harass Cassian Andor because he's brown. And if you think I'm being facetious, if you think I'm being disingenuous there, I'm not. Because Cassian, they go and follow him outside, and Andor kills both of them. And then when the investigation starts taking place, the way that they describe the investigation is that the two guys, which are clearly white, and we were also told were horrible people, were harassing a man with dark features. Twice they said that as well. Dark features. You know, it's got brown hair and brown eyes. Dark features per se. So they were really kind of like pushing that bolt out there. Just you wait till we get to the really awkward part. So yeah, they end up dying. But this all takes like nearly 10 minutes of the first episode. And the first episode is only 33 minutes long if you take off the credits, which are 5.5 minutes. And the intro, which is, you know, all the Star Wars logos and shite, which is a minute. So again, it's another one of these. It's 40 minutes long. It's not. It's 33 minutes. So this is where I just went, oof. Because we start to see some of Andor's past as a child. And where did he originate? You know, what was his past childhood? Oh, he was he's obviously South American, IRL. So the showrunners just put him in some sort of tribal situation where they watch a ship crash, and then they start putting makeup all over themselves to go, I imagine, to find the ship and salvage from the ship. And it was just like, I'm racist and I found that offensive. I'm only kidding. No, but I was kind of like, is that the best that you can do? It felt so generic and on the nose and stereotypical. I said, you couldn't have thought of any other way. No, we're going to make the brown man from South America from some sort of space Inca, space Aztec tribe, as opposed to grown up. Why couldn't he have grown up somewhere that was quite, let's just say, quite middle classy? But the Empire came to their planet and basically just tore all the resources out of it, tore all the money out of it. And so that this planet, which was quite middle classy, suddenly becomes, you know, pretty destitute due to the Empire. Let's take a swig of that vodka. So I did find this particularly oofing. And he's speaking in some dialect which isn't given. There's a robot. I'm sure there'll be plenty of toys. Then he has conversations with various people who I didn't find particularly interesting. This scene I liked. This is where the person who, because they're not part of the Empire, but they answer to the Empire. This guy here was talking to his deputy inspector, and he was essentially saying, look, these two guys were pigs. They were lucky they managed to get so far. They were clearly harassing some dark featured person. So just try and make it look like it's an accident. But what I did like is that this guy here is actually a believer in his work. You know, even if you could say he's misled or whatever. So when this guy goes to answer to the Empire about various things, he's got a meeting with the Empire. This guy doesn't quite do what he's told, and he actually wants to find out who murdered the people. There's a very pretty woman. Moving on. So he starts investigating with his crew, and he goes into this security place, and he talks about it just annoys me to say this. He talks about how their borders are unsecure, and they really need to secure their borders. Do you get it? Trump's building a wall. And this is all going at a snail's pace as well. So when these moments come, you're trying hard to stay with the program. But when these moments come, you're just like, oh, God. We've had White Man Bad. What a surprise. We've had every person of color comes from some basic fucking tribal place. And we've had Trump and build him a wall. Now, the acting's good for the most part. For the most part, the acting's good. But the characters, a lot of them just aren't investable in. Like, stuff happens and why? Don't know. Doesn't really go anywhere. So we put out an all points bulletin for Andor. And that's the end of the first episode. And yeah, it was not particularly exciting. It was slow. The performances were fine. The story wasn't that compelling. And do I feel like I want to go and jump into episode 2? No. Am I being unfair? No, I really don't think so. Yes, it has a more mature tone. But at the same time, because they're throwing their politics into it, it's eye-rollingly frustrating. And last night, when I went to bed, easy now. When I went to bed, I started to watch the new Cyberpunk cartoon, anime, whatever, on Netflix. And after the first episode of that, which was approximately 25 minutes, 30 minutes, I was compelled to watch the next episode because I was interested in what had happened so far in the first episode. So if an anime based off a video game that failed massively because it was broken made me want to continue to watch, they were doing something right. Whereas this is Star Wars. And I'm sick and tired of accepting or people trying to accept it's not dog shit as acceptable stuff. It's okay. This is as mid as you'll get. This is as 5 out of 10 as you'll get. Some people might actually think it's a little bit lower because of the pacing and how slow, and how I can easily see why a lot of people could go, this is really boring, the first episode. But if I'm not compelled to carry on to watch, that's not my fault. That's the fault of the show. So at the moment, I don't want to watch episode 2. Maybe when I slip into bed and I think, oh, let's just put half an hour of Andor on. Let's see. Maybe it'll just send me to sleep. I don't know. But yeah, I would say 5 out of 10. Okay. You don't get a McDonald's gold star. See you in the next video. Bye for now.